Hello everyone, this is Unstable Animates and well, it's been a long time since I last uploaded and some folks were rightfully mad about it. Alright, looking back at those projects, am I gonna finish them? Hell no. Alright, today we're actually starting a new project and I swear I'll finish this one, hopefully. Before we get started, here's some background. So, after I graduated and got myself a job in my field of study, I thought maybe that was it, that I was going to do that for a pretty long time and then there's nothing else I need in life. But then this feeling of wanting more struck me in my heart and I started to ponder, what bigger purpose did I have in life? I was broke. That's it. I thought making some games might just be a way to earn some money on the side, and even if it doesn't do that for me, at least I'll build a portfolio and hopefully someday I get a job that pays well in the gaming industry. Oh shit. Alright, we're doing this for fun. Well, anyway, today we are making a game. The thing is, I don't know how to make one. For months, I have tried watching tutorials and following them, but either I have never been able to finish the projects fully, or I just forgot what I learned from them. And then, on top of that, every time these tutorial guys would pull out a paid tool or paid plugins and then just straight up buy assets to create levels, I felt that I was just skipping some important steps in the learning process. But then, something clicked. This time, I was going to make a project from scratch. I don't know, I just wanted to suffer. So now I do have some experience with 3D character design, creating materials, textures, so I'm not a complete noob looking at some of you. However, rigging and animation are something I had barely ever done, so that was definitely new here. But enough about all that. So what's the big idea? Do I want to create a RPG? Do I want to create a FPS? What am I going to be making the next GTA 6? Well, about that. I will be making a game about a frog that jumps. No, just hear me out. Don't click off the video yet. So, we play as a frog that jumps very high and collects coins while going through an obstacle course. Alright, you can click out the video. I know it sounds basic, but it is a start. And the purpose for me creating this game is not necessarily to actually create a game, but rather to learn the engine. So, let's get started. The very first thing we need is a character. So I spent some time modeling this frog thing. I don't know what it is. Well, anyway, so I scrapped that and then decided to create a new 3D model of a frog, and I made it very chunky. So now I have a chunky frog that in no way resembles a real frog and we will be playing as him. So how do we export this thing into Unreal Engine? Well, time to watch some tutorials. I found one and then learned how to create a character, and I did. In the beginning, the character just floated around the map, and then I realized I need some animations. Now, I do not have too much experience in animating. After I had rigged this character, I simply started animating in Blender and followed Pontypants guy's tutorial on how to export animations from Blender to Unreal, and ended up creating a running, an idle, a jump animation, and a falling animation. So once that was done, I imported them to Unreal and created an animation blueprint after watching yet another tutorial. Alright, the character moves and it also jumps, but this seems a little too basic. So I made sure that the height of the jump changes based on how long you hold the spacebar. That's a genius idea, right? Nobody has ever thought of that. And I guess that's it with the character. I know it's very basic, but it's perfection. It's time we now move to the environment. So I started with creating a lily pad, and then I created a small obstacle course for the frog to jump up on, and I also made a version of the lily pad that moves between 2 or more points. Now we need some more things for the environment, like trees, grass, and some other programs. While I can 3D model a tree in Blender, that will take a long time, and I'm not sure that I will be doing that good of a job for it. So I found this program called Tree It. It's free, and then I proceeded to follow yet another tutorial to create a stylized tree. I created a mask for the leaves in Krita, and then I created a material for the leaves following yet another tutorial. How many of these am I gonna follow? The tree material for the leaves came out looking amazing, and honestly I thought that was it. I was never going to surpass that ever. And actually, I never did. And now that we're done with the trees, let's create grass. Modeled it in Blender, created a material for it in Unreal, and we were done. That's it. While making the grass, I noticed that the collision for the trees wasn't necessarily good. So I ended up spending some time fixing that. I don't know, probably made it worse, but at least I can jump through it now. And now that the trees and the grass were looking pretty good, I wanted to fix the clouds and the sky to look a bit more vibrant. It looks just so dull. And Unreal Engine comes with some presets for the cloud material, which I found out about through a tutorial. Using that, and after some tweaks to the colors and whatnot, I got it to look a little bit better than before. So now at least the sky and the clouds match the vibe that I was going for. All the way throughout this process, I was wondering when I would look back at my recordings that the colors just didn't really look good. And for some reason, in some cases were very dull, and in other cases it's just, I don't know, something was wrong with it. Turns out, not only did I need to adjust some settings with my OBS, but that I also needed to turn off the HDR settings in my Windows. No, I'm not sure if it's more accurate this way or if it's not, but at least I can see the game as I intended it when I have the setting turned off. So now it's time to move on. And so as collectibles, while I do plan on to add more things than just coins, right now I just found this free model from the internet and played around with the gold material in the starter content. I downloaded a free model from the internet and then played around with the gold material in the starter content. Then I used it with the coin and added a sound effect to it when you would collect it. Then I also added a counter to show how many coins were collected in that level. To add some obstacles to the game, I ended up creating two doors. One opens with just clicking the button, and the other one is a pressure door, so you have to put something on it for it to stay open. And I also created a cannon, but I put it to the side for now since I don't end up using it in the level. So now we have some obstacles, we have some collectibles, and we also have some like basic trees and grass. Probably should be a good time to set up a layout for my level now, right? So what I did was to create a plan while I was sitting at work, don't tell my boss, on a piece of paper, and then I used the starter content to block out the level. I created an obstacle course and used the doors to separate different sections of the level. And now, since the layout was done, it was time to create some assets for the environment. But then it was around that time where I lose my motivation and started feeling down a bit. So I just sat down trying to draw some stuff one day, and then instead of just directly creating the 3D models like I was doing like a madman before, I created a concept art. Turns out planning stuff really helps. And this process of drawing the concepts gave me like a mini goal to complete, and now I knew what I had to do. I also drew a concept for a carnivorous plant that I wanted to add as an obstacle or like an enemy of sort, but I didn't manage to get that done, and so it's not in the game yet. Now let's go back into Blender. To create these concepts, I thought maybe sculpting would be a better way. So I sculpted these models based on my concepts, and then I remeshed them using Blender's modifiers. I mean, who's gonna remesh this manually? I know, not the best way, but still, it works for now. So I didn't record myself creating rest of the assets or even painting this one, which weren't too many. So the process was just as simple as you create a 3D model, you unwrap it, and then you paint a simple version of the colors in Blender, and then I actually paint over the texture in Krita to make it a little bit better looking and painterly in a way. This way I created these few assets that I had created the concepts for. I also created a tileable texture for the ground and then started replacing all the placeholders in the level. After getting a general layout of the level done, it was time to add some foliage, and remember the grass and the trees we had created, and also these flowers that I created before. I used these to fill up the level, and it went from looking like a piece of turd to a little more shiny piece of turd. And then while I was testing the level to see how it plays, I found the experience a little bit frustrating that anytime I would die, I would have to restart from the beginning. Thought maybe I just don't want people to be getting frustrated every time they die, so I created a checkpoint system. And now, every time you die, you get spawned to the nearest checkpoint that you at least went over once. And there's a little sound when you walk over a checkpoint, so at least you know that you have passed it, and it also changes color. Now that the checkpoints were done, I placed some coins in the level that the player has to collect so that they have a reason to go out of their way to do certain jumps or go to certain areas that don't necessarily take you further in the level but gets you more coins. Now, why do you want coins? The thing is, I want to add a small buy menu basically, where you can give Froggy here some small hats or other cosmetics using the coins you collect in each level. But that's also something a future me has to worry about. So now this is the level. So I will be playing the level in the background, and this is the game that I have created for now. This took me 2 months to make. 2 months of on and off at the end of the day after my actual full-time job. So maybe take that as a reference, I guess. So now at the end of this devlog, I have a basic game about a frog that jumps, who has to go to the other side of the level for whatever reason while collecting coins. To put it simply, this is not a very ambitious game, and it's not necessarily my dream game either. My whole reasoning for making this game was that I wanted to learn Unreal Engine, and just following tutorials to create what they were making was not enough. I needed a bigger goal, and I got this idea, which may be very simple, but this project has been an amazing tool to learn this engine and get myself familiar with its basic concepts at least. I plan to at least take this game to 95% completion before I move on to any other project, and that means I plan to add sound, improve the lighting of the levels and the environment. I want to add some sound effect and VFX for the footsteps and when the character dies, a better win and lose screen, a main menu that lets you adjust some settings like even your graphic settings. As I've found, the game does not run the best. So a few more obstacles that I already have the ideas of, and then maybe 1 or 2 more levels with those new obstacles. We'll see how it goes. But then I also want to optimize the game in the end so that it doesn't run like shit. I've already tried some smaller or some very basic methods like culling the foliage when it's at a specific distance, which is very basic, but I'm not sure if it's enough. So I will be learning more about Unreal over the course of next month or two, and then implementing these things one by one. Hopefully I can get another video created for it in the next month, but we'll see. Alright, that's about it, and hopefully you enjoyed watching this small devlog of me trying to learn the engine and not really creating an amazing game, but here it is, Froggy. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys again in the part 2, which hopefully there will be one. Definitely this time, not unlike every other time that I've done that. Definitely not.